Yorùbá TV 247.
Ẹ bá wa dá sí.
Lówó ọjà tó kájí wọlé.
Ẹ bá wa dá sí.
Ọ̀rọ̀ lórí orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá gbogbogbò.
Ẹ bá wa dá sí.
Ẹ̀yin ará mi, ẹ súnmọ́ bí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ pín.
Ẹ bá wa dá sí.
Yorùbá TV 247. Ẹ bá wa pín.
I listened to the issue of the current coalition in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I laugh.
You laugh?
I laugh because when you look at the promoters of this so-said coalition, the dramatists, when you look at them, you cannot but continue to laugh. When killers,
Yorùbá TV 247. Ẹ bá wa pín.
presidency of Tinubu and the vision we see, if we can move on systemically as it is going, the hope is brighter there than the so-said coalition. And I can assure you that that coalition will fall flat like a pack of cards because their motive is evil.
Yorùbá TV 247. Ẹ bá wa pín.
Fight in Igbo land. Advice towards this. I know you are a political minded fellow who is a member of APC.
Yes,
but
I'm not ashamed of that.
We are, the Yoruba says they are going. What is your advice to the presidency?
Thank you, sir. Agitation is necessary. When people feel that they are not getting what they ought to get, agitation continues. When people think that they are deprived of what they ought to have. So these agitations from all over, from these regional setups, I think they are necessary because our federation is 40.
Thank you very much, for accepting us this morning. This is Yoruba TV 247. A couple with my colleague here, Celestia Half Hour TV. We have come to meet our father, our brothers, our friends, yes, to inquire on some certain things that are happening in our country, of which we know he is knowledgeable, to elaborate and tell us vividly what we should be looking at as masses, as a citizen of, Yoruba land, and as a native of Nigeria, so to say. So, sir, can we meet you, sir?
Thank you, sir. My name is Clement Akinagbe. I'm a Nigerian too, and I'm a patriotic Nigerian. I believe that when issues comes up, I have to put patriotism above self, and I'm glad to be here this morning too.
Thank you very much, sir. My first question is this. Of recent time, few days ago, Nigerian labor workers, they were rejoicing, happy, celebrating Workers' Day. I look at it from my own perspective that is there anything that is celebratable in Nigeria with the present situation? What is your opinion, sir?
Yes, it is appropriate that the workers are celebrating. Apart from the fact that we are living, there are many things we have to consider. And for instance, lately, though we know that the cost of things are high, but there was increment in the salary of workers compared to what it used to be. I think that calls for rejoicing. And again, there are some other work environment improvement, in form of insurance and what have you, pensioners payment. So when you put all these things together, coupled with the prompt payment of their salary I think there is need to rejoice over it. They might not be comfortable enough with the pay, which is understandable, but we believe they are moving forward and they have reasons to rejoice.
Along the line, the president said he wants to prioritize workers' welfare. And I look at it that this could be a political utterances, political talk along the line, because there were so many talks that have been, talked out, which have not been worked out by the present regime, APC, in Nigeria. What is your take about this, please?
Well, I disagree that there are many things that have been said that have not been done. I want to disagree with that with respect, because what we can say is that there are many ideas in the pipeline that government is working towards. Most of the time when people are working behind the scene, the people might think that the government or individual is docile until there is manifestation of what is being done. And for the president to have given church an inspiring statement, I think we have to give him kudos. And in the character of the president, the Nigeria Asiwaju Tinubu, I believe that he perform everything that he talks about, but oftentimes, when the manifestations has not been visible, one might think that they are political talk. I remember vividly that he said that the workers are the engine room of the economy, and when we're talking about the engine room of the economy, I think without them, the government will not function very well. So the acknowledgement alone, that the presidents do acknowledge that they are engine room of the governance, then it means that they have something good in mind for them. And taking from the past, his relationship with the workers, even when he was the governor of Lagos State, then we could conclude that he definitely have something in the pipeline for the workers, and that he desires that their lives improves. And I believe he's working towards it. And I can assure you that it can only get better.
There's policies of constructing here and there of the federal government, constructing road from Badagry to Sokoto, constructing from the coastal island from Lagos to Calabar. Do you think that was the first thing to do when the masses are suffering? Hungers here and there. There is no food on the table for the common man. The CBN governor said, any policy of the government that is not affecting the common man on the street, that is not a viable policy. Now, we are seeing all these things. This is 2 years of this government. 2 years. By May 29, there will be 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, people are still hungered. People, there is no food on their table. There are so many, we are only hearing Tinubu is working. Tinubu is working, but it's not visible. It's not just like you have rightly said, we have not been able to, feel the impact of his governance, except the negative part of it. The fuel hike, removal of fuel subsidy, and, all that are patrimonial to them. Today, the masses are suffering. What is your take, your opinion, sir?
Well, I also want to disagree too that the president is not doing much. One thing is that Nigeria have myriads of problems and challenges, and we can only take them one after the other. Truly, any government policy must affect the masses positively. Then there are some policies that will come with certain pains which requires endurance. It is not every good thing that can be backed without pains. let's take a pregnant woman who will have to deliver of a baby. Definitely the initial pains during the labor could not be seen as a pain to make such a woman to decide never to give birth again. You know, the government of Nigeria before now has been run under widow dressing. Where the successive, the past government will look at the indices on ground and decide to do a cover-up, doing what cannot function, what that cannot work, just to do a widow dressing governance. But we have a president that takes the proper steps by going to the nitty-gritties of the issues and addressing them as they are, without any cover-up. Imagine a situation where the government of Nigeria have to fund fuel to other nations. How could we just imagine that? But the president will not bother about what the people will say, but about what that can pay the people on the long run, not on the short run. I want to assure you that, okay, you mentioned the roads, the construction that are going up and down. That is appropriate for government to, it's very, very appropriate, because Nigerians will travel on this road. These roads will facilitate business. This road will make life easier. But then the government cannot do everything at a time. For instance, let's look at the NET fund, the loan given to students in Nigeria currently for indigent students.
Is that effective?
Secure, very, 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 very effective. We have people all over that are qualified that have received the money. They pay straight to their schools. So if we can secure the future of this youth, then we secure our tomorrow. These are beautiful policies. But the Nigerians, they only look at the pains of the subsidy issues without looking at the policies and the gains that can come later on. I still insist that the president is doing a whole lot of things. If we like to mention them, we can be mentioning them one after the other. For instance, when you said that foods are not on the table of the citizen, you know, the duty of the government is to provide enabling environment for business to thrive. For instance, who would tell a man to go to his farm in the morning if he really wants a food on his table? It will be the one that will consciously wake up in the morning as early as possible and go to his farm. But it is the duty of government to provide the enabling environment by way of law to make sure that access to land is easier and security. The only challenge we had before relating to farming, which is one of our area of advantage, is issue of this kidnapping and so on. But you could see that immediately President Tinubu was sworn in, the tide has been subsided somehow. Though we wish that the improvement will continue per day. So,
sir, there are still, if I will have to disagree with you there are still killings in our farms today. Our fathers, our mothers, our sisters and brothers, they can't go back to the farm because of the fear of this banditry, fear of this AK-47 of the housemen, banditry over there. And so, you see, that's exactly what could cause problem for a nation, no matter how valuable the work of the government, the work of the president. If the enabling situation or environment is not available, if for the people, the masses, to co-op with, I believe there wouldn't be what they call addendum. There wouldn't be grace for them to explore. A farmer who was supposed to go, on mechanized farming. There is no mechanized farming today. At least what I'm looking at is that the government is supposed to have, as they have farm settlements here and there, they were supposed to have, they were supposed to lead by example. Okay, This farm belongs to the government. The product of the farm have an enabling, market for them. You put price tag on, this is governmental rice. You put a price tag on it that will control the price system of what is going on in the country. Because today everything is skyrocketing here and there. Then when you say that enabling situation has the government have they been able rather to do what? To create, verbs, situations, ideas on how to farm in Nigeria, in Yoruba land and in other states.
Yes.
Along the line with this banditry.
Yes, we want to believe that it is not over yet concerning the banditry. We admit that there are killings all over, but what we are saying is that the tide is reduced compared to what it used to be. Then the government is not resting on its ass. The government is working day and night. This issue of banditry is unconventional war. It requires a lot of strategies, and the president is working day and night to make sure that it is over. Danjuma said we should protect ourselves, that they don't have the power again. The DSS, director said every individual should learn how to do what? To protect themselves. Today, you can't walk on the road you are constructing without keeping the people, preserving their lives. Who will make use of those roads? Banditries, just like that is the main issue that we are going to, deal with. In Benue, there is killings. In Zamfara, there is killings. In Plateau, there is killings. In Nasarawa, Adamawa, there is killings. Even in West here, in Ondo State, we could recount that 42 people were killed about 3 weeks ago in Akure. Following other 5 people that were killed, 4 other people that were killed, 3 other people that were killed, they conveyed them on Okada back home when they were being slaughtered by these people in their farm. So when we are talking about, there should be something that government should look into carefully and make sure that they don't politicize it. Because when it becomes a political something, you as a politician, I know you will safeguard things to suit yourself and sort your APC, because I know you're a member, if I may say, you're a member of APC, and there is no way you will not, guide against Tinubu from all these things we are seeing. The way forward. National issue is a national issue. Respond to that. We are not saying that there are no killings here and there. They are. But what I'm saying is that the tide has reduced, and we hope that government will stem it up higher and reduce it, and possibly to make sure that it becomes things of past. I also urge the government to expedite action on security. That government is doing a lot to make sure that it becomes thing of past, and I pray and I do hope too that peace will come by His grace.
Amen. Today we found out that many of our professionals they are japping into some other countries, searching for greener pasture. Nigeria produces them, but other countries were using them to, attain their aims. Today, what should the government do to avert this kind of things, occurrences? Now, there is unemployment on our land. What is the government, the present day government, doing about this?
Yes, I agree that people are drifting out for a greener pasture, but like the Yoruba will say, the issue is not what has just happened in the going to 2 years of Tinubu's governance, it has become a systemic failure for the years that have passed. And it is admitted that it's the failure of the past government. But we cannot continue to say or rely on that alibi. Rather, to look for a way forward. I think when you get to government sector now, just like you said, which is an admission, that workers rejoice in the last anniversary, it is because there had been considerate and considerable improvement in their standard of living. And I believe as government continues on that right path, it will make the people, the professionals, to stay back. Because really, most of them are not out of country as a result of unpatriotism, but because they just have to get a better means of livelihood. And I believe that as government continues on the direction that the Tinubu government is going now, we will have a reversal of the situation. But it cannot be magical. It must be systemic. The legal frameworks are there to make sure that workers get better paid. Some governors have been compelled to compulsorily pay the minimum wage. Certain incentives has been announced, has been granted. With the compounding effect of all these policies, we will definitely have a better work environment that will make the professionals to stay back. And I will also use this museum to appeal to our professionals to let us demonstrate patriotism by enduring a bit and cooperate with government, so that at the end of the day, we can have our nation. Because no matter how far we stay in a foreign land, home will always remain home.
Thank you. This unpopular retrogressive revolution in Nigeria today, as the nation is under a democratic system, we need a popular progressive revolution. And if we must look at it and see, President Tinubu has ever demonstrated to be one of the viable sons of the soil that went on, almost revolting in those years when those were bad governance were noticed. He was once said that he didn't believe in one Nigeria, but today he believes in one Nigeria because he's on the throne. And we must necessarily go through a revolution, probably after this present regime. I don't know, but I believe so that this question of democracy or libertine of action and the degradation found in the system, will be pushed out along the line. He didn't believe in one Nigeria. Today, with all that have been perpetrated, he did not allow protesters to protest. When he hears or, heard of protest, he will have to command, the military to descend on them. Is that proper?
I disagree with that position. One, the best way to understand a man is to look at his past. That will be a window for you to determine the possible futuristic behaviors that such a personality is displaying. I would like to see the interview where the president said he did not believe in one Nigeria, and at what context. It is then that I can be able to comment on that.
That was when he went on exile during the time of Abacha, because that period God saved President Tinubu. He was almost maimed that period. He ran, to Cotonou, Republic of Benin, Wole Soyinka stood for him at that very period. We read about all these things.
Yes, listen,
And,
sir.
you know,
the thing is that I said at what context.
yeah,
The context matters. You know, there are issues that a position you maintain today, that if the conditions has changed positively, you might have a shift in mind. It depends on the context. If it is a context where the governance was retrogressive and there's no hope of moving forward, a person can say that, okay, I do not believe in this system at that context. If the indices has changed positively, then likewise the mindset will do what? Will change. I believe that Tinubu is a patriotic Nigerian and they want Nigeria to be one. Because Nigeria being one, we have more to benefit in it. If all things being equal. But if things are not as it is ought to be, there will be agitation. Then concerning protests, I've been seeing protests here and there all over. The president cannot stop protests. Protest is a constitutional right of the aggrieved. But when a protest turns to riot, the government has a responsibility to quench it. Or when the protest arrangements fails to satisfy the legal requirement, the government has a responsibility to displace such rioters. So we need to understand the context of protest from riot. If people who are civil in demand for a certain project or policy are protesting in a civilized manner, no government will do what? Will stop them. But when it comes to riot, destruction of public peace, destruction of the property of the people, a responsible government has a duty to displace such protesters. However, protest is legal, but it must fulfill the requirement of law. Otherwise, no government will keep his hand crossed and allow rioters or hijackers to disrupt the peace of the people.
thank you very much, Mr. Akinagbe, right?
Yes.
Sorry. And we are talking of democracy. Can you tell us or name any country that has have a developmental life through democracy around the world? Democratic rule. We need to revolutionize it in Nigeria. Otherwise, the richer will continue to be rich and the poor becomes the poorer and the poorest. So if this will have to take place or take effect, I believe we should look at this president, this military president, President Traoré of Burkina Faso, the 37-year-old president, who assumed office in September 2022 through a coup d'etat that ousted interim President Paul Henry, if I'm not mistaken, he's on Damiba. So recently, so this man rejected Saudi Arabia's offer to build 200 mosques in his country. He rather asked the Islamic country to what? To rather invest in essential infrastructure projects that would put food on the table of the people. In this nation today, we have churches, mosques, no industries, no industrialized companies, or where the youths could be employed. If you travel, this government functionaries travel to other countries, they see what is happening in those countries. Instead of imbibing these ideas, you will see python dance,
Okay.
Snake swallowing money,
Thank you.
elephant swallowing money. When shall we get out of this?
Thank you. We have to take these questions one after the other.
Yeah.
Concerning the issue of religion, religion is a constitutional matter too, that every man has a right to choose which religion he wants to belong to. But the problem in Nigeria is peculiar. It has become commercialization. And when you see churches, mosques here and there, the object of religion most often are not being preached. These are moralities, good behaviors, support for the less privileged, but rather the gains that will come out of it. But I think that is not the problem of government. That is the problem of the Nigerians themselves, prompting from ignorance. Everyone have a duty to read his or Bible or Quran, or as the case may be, and understand what God wants. The issue of brainwashing that have turned a lot of them to what we call mugu is an issue that can be solved. It cannot be solved by government, because if government decides to say that no more religion, it will create more problem than solving it. Then the sensitization to National Orientation Agency, government is trying that regard to disabuse the mind of people to know that serving God does not mean that they should not do their work, that it does not mean that they should be gullible. But if they are, whose fault? So, but the people are waking up gradually now, all over the world now, and most often in Nigeria. A lot of people are getting to understand that most of the claims of the religionists are just to bamboozle the people and to better their own life. Because just like you have said, sir, most of these religious organizations have capacity to build industries too, but they will go into ventures that will still project their economic gain money, and whose fault? If you are made a fool, you are to be blamed. If you become a fool by your own consent or by your consent, then who is to blame? So it is the people themselves that must sit down and think well. But the government has a responsibility to create industries and to do things that will make the environment to be conducive for investment. And I believe that Tinubu's government is working towards that by different policies like tax cuts. You recall recently that there are certain organizations that you not need to pay certain tax. These are just incentives to make sure that the workplace is conducive for investment. And Nigeria has been advised to do more of agricultural investment because we have the land, the weather is good, and government is also encouraging people towards that direction. And I believe that things are getting better. For instance, now we have skyrocketed the prices of food. This one can only be solved by massive supply of foodstuff to the market, because when supply is more, price will go down, but when supply is short, price will go up. So it is a responsibility of both the government and the people, and I believe we are still moving in the right direction. Only what we need is the pace must be accelerated. We might have not gotten to Canaan land, definitely we have left the Egypt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinobi. Of recent time, we could see that some people are temporarily alliance themselves, for combined action to politically, dethrone the present party, APC. They are forming, an alliance to beat the present regime and come to 2027. Is this going to be a thing that would bring about benefits to the nation, or it will still kill the development of the nation? Because I believe the present regime are doing something like you have earlier said. By the time other party comes into it, they might likely rubbish what this present regime have done, like we have been seeing it in the past. So, what is your opinion with this kind of coalition we are seeing today? Many people are. What is so patrimonial to all these politicians is that when they know that the party is not favoring to them, and they will, they will look for a way to move, fly, transmit themselves to another party, a ruling party, so that they could be favored. So how do you see this? How does it go?
Anytime I listen to the issue of the current coalition in Nigeria, I laugh.
You laugh?
I laugh because when you look at the promoters of this so-said coalition, the dramatists, when you look at them, you cannot but continue to laugh. When killers, fraudsters are gathering to take governance, what can you expect from such government? Like we say, if we don't know where we are going, it is better to stay where we are.
Do you mean that their coalition
is a gang of frustrated fellows?
Frustrated fellows?
Yes, who thought that they are not in, that they are missing patronage. We look at their past. I didn't want to mention names. People who organize killing of set of people. People who embezzle money that was to be used to construct roads, to build hospitals, and they are ganging up to rescue power from a realistic government. Then Nigerians are not fools. Nigerians are wiser now. So when you look at these dramatics, because I believe that they are just joking, of course it's dead on arrival. Look at them, ask them, what do they want to do? Where they had fortunes before? What have been their achievements? So it's more or less a group of looters, killers.
Group of looters?
Joining hands together to disrupt a government that is beginning to form a progressive front. The presidency of Tinubu and the vision we see, if we can move on systemically as it is going, the hope is brighter there than the so-said coalition. And I can assure you that coalition will fall flat like a pack of cards because their motive is evil.
Motive, evil.
Yes.
Evil motives?
Yes.
Wow. So to say, we are looking at it before this period. The Yoruba Pan-African group, the Biafrans, even the Arewas, today are saying that they are going to their nation because they are, our amalgamation is not is not done, to benefit the nations that were amalgamated together. The Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Hausas. These are the three regional, states we can talk about. Then come the Fulanis. The Fulani came in, they in one way or the other disposed those that were found there, and they along the line. They dethroned some of these emirs and enthroned their own emirs there, Fulani emirs. Today, we found out that these Fulanis are saying they are born to rule. So the plans of Usman Dan Fodio, their great father, was to come for conquest. They want to grab the land from the indigenous people. And those are the things they are still working with today. How do you think that the Yorubas will sit back and be looking at them to take their own possessions away from them? Now, seeing all these things was what made Professor Adebanji Akintoye to come up with the Alanom or Omo Yoruba, the Oduas, that they want to have their way out of Nigeria in order to go for their own nation and govern themselves. Likewise, the Biafran. But today, it's like this present government is still working, performing the works Lord Lugard did in those days, amalgamating them, still bringing us together, forcing us together, when we know that it can't be one anymore. There is fight in Igbo land, there is fight in Yoruba land, there is fight in Northern land. Now, today, what is your advice towards this? I know you are a political minded fellow who is a member of APC.
Yes,
but
I'm not ashamed of that.
We are, the Yoruba says they are going. What is your advice to the presidency?
Thank you, sir. Agitation is necessary. When people feel that they are not getting what they ought to get, agitation continues. When people think that they are deprived of what they ought to have. So these agitations from all over, from these regional setups, I think they are necessary because our federation is 40. The way we run our federation in Nigeria is 40, and a lot of corrections are necessary.
That's why I said revolution.
Yes, I do not believe in that revolution in that sense.
Wow.
I will come to that. So I believe that if we can sit down, if there could be an avenue for us to sit down and reconsider our federation and sort out the Tony part, then we could have a better Nigeria. And I believe that if Nigeria becomes what the people want, the agitations will go down. So I want to believe the agitators have the right to do that. And of course, the situations demands for it. But then, a president who has sworn to the Constitution of the Federal Republic to protect the Constitution, which one of the things that he needs to do is to make sure that the country is united, cannot but to do everything that the country will not break into parts. So the government, Tinubu, is doing that well, and I believe our constitution needs amendment and our federation needs to be run as federation, so to say. That will naturally make the agitation to go down. Then concerning revolution, I do not believe in a revolution that is bloody. If there is any revolution that I will believe in, it will be revolutionize mind. To revolutionize our mind, the way we think, like to bring in more patriotism, endurance, loyalty to our nation. If we come with this kind of revolutionized mind, if the police on the highway will not take bribe, if the man in the office, the clerk, will not take bribe before passing the files, if the seller in the market will not amend the gauge, if the first seller will not tamper with the litter, then I think this way, with good legal infrastructure, we can have a better Nigeria. So it is a two-way traffic. The government must do what they ought to do. Nigerians too must revolutionize their mind. Because if revolution in killing top politicians or the passive enemy of government, what of the people, the citizenry? Today, Nigerians, it has become blooded that the Nigerians are more or less always criminally minded, to dupe, to deprive, to exploit, even when governments are not involved. It has become a mindset which needed to be revolutionized. That is the type of revolution that I would like.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinagbe. We have greeted you. Thank you for listening to us as we have been having a section with Mr. Akinagbe Clement since morning over this. This is Yoruba TV 247, and our colleagues are here. The other station, the television stations, which is Celestia have our TV, they are also here. Thank you very much, Mr. Akinagbe. What is your own take on these issues? What is your own take on these issues of banditries in our farmland? Today, we could see that there is no hope for a common man if government is not coming up with a formidable security system, and your advice to the Yoruba as a nation, because Yoruba is a nation,
yes,
found in the contraption I call Nigeria. You might not say it as a contraption as a politician, but to us that understood it, we could see it very, very well. Apart from what you politicians are, found out about the Nigeria situation.
I disagree that politicians are looking for money, except the so-called caricature politicians.
Sorry, in a situation whereby a ticket of presidency is 100 million, can a common man, go venture into that?
Those are part of the errors that needed to be remedied.
Oh, and when they get to the office, look at what they do. They will first of all look for that 100 million.
I believe that is wrong.
Oh.
But we cannot go into hasty generalization to say that politicians are looking for money. Ordinarily, politicians should politicians should look for way to give service to the people. So politics and people who want to come to politics, it should be people who have been accomplished somehow or who intend to bring something new to the table to give service. And concerning the banditry in the regions, especially in the Yoruba land, what we need to do is to fortify our security system. Thank God for Amotekun and some other group.
They were waylaid about 2 days ago,
yes,
and they were some of them were killed.
They will continue.
So what is the government doing about this?
They will continue to improve.
We the masses have almost lost, our potential.